Okay, guys, so today we're going to venture into the land of trigonometry a little bit. Um, this is like the basic introduction to trig, and today we're only looking at the tangent ratio. Um, Monday we will look at tangents, friends, sine, and cosine. Um, and what trigonometry means, it means the study of triangles, and most of the time it's right triangles. Um, and what it does is we'll know just a little bit of information. We might know maybe a combination of some sides and some angles, and we're going to use these trigonometric ratios to figure out a missing piece. um, this is probably your first exposure to trigonometry, but this is like the base level of it, and there actually is a class offered here at the high school called pre-calculus, and it half of it is devoted to even more trigonometry. So you could possibly take that class here at the high school and learn more about trigonometry. But this is just a basic venture into it. So we're only going to focus on tangent today, and then we'll look at how to write the ratio, how to find the missing side, and how to find missing angles. So first of all, I need to put some vertices on this triangle. So I'm going to do A, B, C. And then because I did that, I'm going to let the side across from big A be little a, across from big B be the little b, across from big C be the little c. Okay? Now, before we get into actually finding out what these are, we need to talk about what tangent is. So, tangent is just a ratio between two sides of a triangle. And depending on what that angle measure is, depends on what the ratio is. Or depending on what the sides are, is what the ratio is. It doesn't really matter it matters what angle you come from. We never write it from 90. Okay, so never use the 90. It's always going to be one of these other two angles. Okay? And so, in general, we say that the tangent of the angle is always going to be equal to the opposite side there's an I right there over the adjacent side. Okay, and that is relative to what angle you're talking about. The tangent for A is not going to be the same for tangent of B because they're in different locations. Okay, but this is what you need to remember: tangent is opposite over adjacent. And so I tell myself to remember this. I say TOA, TOA, TOA. You think of it as tangent is the opposite over adjacent. You can think of it that way. So however you can remember it, but you have to remember tangent is opposite over adjacent. Okay, I cannot stress that enough. Now, let's look at writing the ratio. So we're going to look, when it says tangent of the angle, you go from that angle. So you kind of maybe put your finger here at the angle. That's your reference point. And remember, tangent is the opposite over adjacent. Adjacent means next to, okay? So from A, I need to find the side opposite first. So I'm going to look across the triangle. That means the opposite. So look across the triangle. Who is that? So we called it little a. Now in practice, this will be a number. Okay. So we called it little a over. Now who is adjacent to big angle A? Well, it looks like we could use this one or this one. But we can't use the C because that's the hypotenuse. Tangent doesn't use hypotenuse. Okay? We'll use the hypotenuse on Monday. Tangent uses the other side that's adjacent. So from the angle, you just come down. straight down. So we call that side little b. Okay? And in practice, these will have numbers. Now, when you're actually writing the ratio, you don't have to write all the stuff. You can abbreviate a little bit. So instead of writing out the whole word tangent, you can just write that. You can abbreviate to tan, but you still call it tangent. Don't call it tan. If you say tan A, you sound stupid. It's tangent. And then what's the angle we're talking about? Is big A. So tangent of A equals this ratio we just found. Okay? This is how you would actually write it in practice. Okay? Then tangent of B is still opposite over adjacent. But now we look from B. So from big angle B, look across the triangle. Who's there? It's little b. So it's going to be little b over. Now we look straight down. We don't angle up the hypotenuse. We can't do that. Don't use hypotenuse. Go straight across or straight down. That's A. So if we use our abbreviation, we just say tangent of B equals B over A. And like I said earlier, depending on which angle you use is how the ratio is written. It's not always going to be the same. In this case, it's actually the reciprocal. But anyway. Okay. So we're going to practice writing the ratio. So write the tangent ratio for angle X. So if you want, you can circle the angle you're looking from. And then you're going to write this. So you'll say tan. You'll write tan, but you say tangent. Tangent of X equals, and now we have to determine the opposite and adjacent sides. So from X, look across. Who is there? That's 40. So we're going to say 40 over. Now we need adjacent. Now, I told you earlier you go straight down, okay? But the triangle is turned a different way. So how do we know which one to use between 30 and 50? Well, look at the 50. Who's across from it? That's the 90. So this is the hypotenuse. Tangent does not use hypotenuse ever. So that means we have to use the other side of 30. Okay? Now sometimes when you set this up, the numbers will reduce. So we need to, if we can reduce it, we need to reduce it. So 40 over 30 will give us 4/3. That's the ratio. All right, let's do it again. So now we're referencing from Z. So we're going to say tangent of Z equals. So look across first for the opposite side. So look across, that's 21 over. Now, do I use 28 or do I use 35? 35 is the hypotenuse, so I can't use it. So I'm going to use 28. I think that reduces, so I'm going to go ahead and reduce it. And it reduces to 3/4. All right. So let me make a point here. From here on out, you're going to need one of these calculators. So virtual students, use the calculator added to your Chromebook. It works just like this one. Okay? And before we get started, whoever's watching this video, in this class, when we do trigonometry, you have to be in what's called degree mode. So to figure that out, make sure to verify that. Every time you open a calculator, just to check, you're going to hit the mode key. So we'll go to mode. And there's a whole bunch of stuff here. Okay? But we're going to go down to, it's the third line. And see how it's floating on radian? You can measure, okay, so there are different ways to measure an angle. One is called radian, which is what that's floating on now. And then there's also degree. You need to make sure that degree is highlighted. Okay, you have to be in degree mode. And then once you check that, you hit second mode and you get out of there. And you're going to have to use this calculator because you're going to get to use this tangent button right here. We'll set that to the side. Now, we're going to set this up right now for 4 triangles. We will know an angle measure and one of these sides. We're trying to find the other side. It's kind of like an equation, if you will, okay? It's a trig equation, kind of. So, find the missing side, round to the nearest tenth, because most of the time when you use tangent, you're going to get big, nasty decimals. Like, look at this. Tangent of 20. That's disgusting. So we'll need to round our answers, okay? Now, every time you do a problem on trig, never use the 90. Use the angle they gave you. So if you need to, circle that angle that you're going to use it. So and now instead of writing a big X or a big letter, we're going to put that number. We're going to put this 47. So tangent of 47 equals. And if you type tangent 47 in the calculator, you'll get some number. Okay, now we need to set up the opposite over the adjacent. So from 47, look across. That would be X over. And then the other side would be 18. On these, I only gave you the 2 sides you need, so you won't be confused as to whether you won't get confused. So just use what I gave you. All right. Now we have this set up. We need to find the X. And so it's sort of like cross multiplication. There's an invisible 1 down here. And so what we're really going to do, just get in the habit of this, take the tangent 47 and multiply it with whatever's in the denominator over here. So those two are going to get multiplied together. Then we'll bring this top, so X equals 18 multiplied by the tangent of 47. Okay? So once you set it up, just multiply those two. That'll be on one side, and whatever's left is on the other side. Okay? This is just one big number. It's a weird looking number, so we have to figure out what it is. So 18 times 10, 47. And then we're going to round to the nearest tenth, so rounding that number will give us 19.3. Okay? That's kind of the gist of how to find the missing side. One way. There's a second way you could do it, or a second way a problem you could see. Okay, let's do it again. So don't use 90, use the 69. So we'll write tangent of 69 equals opposites first, so X over the adjacent side, 20. Multiply 20 times the tangent, so X is going to equal 20 times the tangent of 69. And when you type that in the calculator, and you round appropriately, X is about 52.1. Okay, now let's look at another kind of problem about missing sides. So this time, well, okay, never mind. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, setup doesn't change. So use the angle that's not 90. So tangent of 31 equals opposites first, so 17 over the adjacent X. Notice how this problem is different in that the X is in the denominator now. So we still do the same step that we did before, but then we have to do an additional step. Okay, so I'm going to multiply this bottom x with tangent. Okay, and then bring my 17 down. So 17 equals x times tangent of 31. But I'm trying to find my x value, and so we simply just divide that tangent away. So x is going to equal 17 over tangent 31. Okay? Now, using this kind of calculator makes your life easy because you can type all this in at once. If you try and do it in pieces, you might mess it up. So we're going to make us a fraction. Oops, wrong one. 17 on top, tangent 31 on the bottom, and we'll round that. That'll be 28.3 when we round. All right. So again, we used the angle that's not 90, and today we're only using tangent. So tangent 27 equals the opposite side of 18 over the adjacent side. So multiply the bottom with the tangent, and then bring the top. So bring the top, equal it to x times tangent 27. And then we divide the tangent away. So then x will equal 18 over tangent of 27 degrees. And that's roughly, because it's not exact, 18 over tangent 27. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake on my paper or that I'm looking off of. But yeah, we're right. So this is 35.3. I need to fix that in a minute. Anyway, all right, so that's how you find missing sides. So you're either going to find the side that's opposite, like we did here. Well, you barely can see it, like the opposite side here, or you're finding the adjacent side. Okay. The other thing you do with tangent is you'll know both sides, but you need to know the angle. So this is a little bit different. So please pay attention at this point. Okay. We're trying to find this question mark as an angle. And so a way to represent an angle in math is to use this Greek letter, this letter right here. That's called theta. That's what I'm going to use in all of these. But if you want to use like just a capital X or a capital letter, it doesn't matter. All right. So I'm going to use theta. So this is where I'm referencing from. And so instead of writing the number like we did up here, I'm going to write theta. So well, if I could draw or write. So tangent of my angle value that I don't know, I'm calling theta, equals my opposite side of 6 over my adjacent side of 10. Now, the thing we're trying to find is the theta. We've got this tangent in the way. Okay? So we are going to use what's called, you write it like this, like a -1 exponent, but that's called inverse tangent. You're like, well, what the crap is inverse tangent? Well, look at your calculator. We've been using the tangent button all the time. Look right above it. What's written there in blue? That's inverse tangent. You could also call it arc tangent. That's another way to call it. And it's written in blue, so I have to use this blue key to get there. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so here's how I think of writing it. So I know that I'm going to make tangent go away. So I'm just kind of drop it and just put theta equals. Now to make it go away, I'm having to use this. So I'm going to put this on the other side. So tangent inverse, and then I'm going to put my fraction after it, kind of like that. The official way to do it is you would have to write that inverse tangent on both sides, and then on this side it's going to cancel out, and then you leave it over here. You can kind of think of it as if you have 2x and you're trying to get rid of the 2, you simply divide the 2. That's the same idea. But I think this is cleaner, so just drop tangent over here and make sure you put tangent inverse on the left side or the right on the other side, okay? So then theta, the angle is going to be an approximation to the nearest degree. So that means the nearest whole. So let's see how to type this in. So you hit the blue second key and then hit tangent. There's tangent inverse. And now we need to type a fraction in. And this is an angle measure. And so we need to round this to the nearest whole. So that's going to round to 31. And because it's an angle, I want to put 31 degrees. So that's how you find a missing angle. So let's do it again. Here's theta. So tangent theta equals, my opposite is 5, my adjacent is 12. Drop tangent. Make sure you put tangent inverse on the other side, and then of that fraction. So we'll do inverse tangent of 5/12. Oops. And you round that, it's going to be 23 degrees. All right. I'm going to do these two kind of quick. So theta, tangent theta is 5/10. That means theta is inverse tangent of 5/10. And then you just type this in the calculator like I've showed you twice now. You should get about 27 degrees. Last one. So tangent is going to be the opposite 51 over the adjacent 28. Theta is now going to be inverse tangent 51 over 28. And then typing that in appropriately, theta is about 61 degrees. Okay, so that's tangent. How to write the ratio, how to find a missing side, how to find a missing angle. It's not too bad if you understand that tangent is opposite over adjacent, and then how to set up each equation appropriately, and then using the calculator. You need to use one of these guys, okay? So use the one on your Chromebook, or if you have one of your own, use it. So make sure we watch the video all the way through. I'll have a homework assignment posted for you. And as always, if you need help, let me know.